Hello comedy crowders. Here is a recording of our most recent meetup where we discuss everything about the wonderful and mysterious world of TikTok, hosted by the wonderful and utterly hilarious Katerina Robinson, where she discusses how to get the most out of the app for you, the comedy creator. We discuss lots of interesting topics like engagement and how to exploit trends and how to do trends and so much more useful information. First, be sure to check out all of Katerina's stuff. She's got lots coming up and it'll be in the link below. And if you want to put any of Katerina's insights into practice, then why not also join our TikTok trend, which will be linked below. But sure, anyway, I hope you enjoy the video and please watch to the end for some more useful links. Enjoy!
Hello everyone, I'm Katerina and I'm an actress and comedian. I'm not that new to TikTok. I kind of started taking it sort of seriously from middle of last year, kind of end of last year. And yeah, I can't wait to hopefully help answer some questions. I definitely don't want this to be like a wanky, like, oh, TikTok, like it's amazing. Like, no, I just want it to be a really like honest kind of chat, and yeah, hopefully it can give you some good tips.
What kind of brought you to TikTok?
TikTok sort of came about for me in 2020. I noticed everyone was just sort of jumping on the bandwagon. I personally kind of saw it and I thought, oh God, what's this? Like, it felt really cringy. It was all these teenagers doing dance routines. And I thought, no, that's not for me. I'm a comedian. I don't want to be doing something like that. And a lot of my friends were saying to me, oh, you should get on it. Like, it's a good way of, getting yourself out there and promoting your work. But I was quite against it at the time. So I sort of left it for a bit while everyone was sort of going crazy over it. And then it got to about middle of 2021 of last year where I was like, maybe I should give this a go. I saw a few other comedians doing quite well on it, like Munya, his stuff I think is amazing, and Abby Clark as well. And I thought, okay, maybe there is a space for like what I talk about and what I do. And yeah, I kind of just got into it from there really. So yeah, middle of last year.
And it's good that you're honest about kind of not agreeing with it first. Yeah. It wouldn't be fair for you to say that you just thought it was amazing from the beginning and you went from there.
No, definitely not. I mean, it is quite an exposing platform, I think. And also, I don't know, I just feel like it's how it's branded and how it's put together. It makes you think, oh, is it this, I don't know, this cringy, like young platform? And, not that I'm quite young myself, but I don't know, it just felt, even I felt like I was too old for it. Like, it felt like it was for teenagers. But yeah, I started to see other comedians doing well on it and doing stuff. And I thought, okay, this might actually be quite cool. There might be something in this. And then that's when I sort of started to explore it, when I saw other people doing like amazing from it.
And how long were you doing your videos before you kind of started seeing any results from it, or you started seeing the change in your views and stuff?
So I think like with TikTok, I think it's very like trial and error. So when I first put up my first video, it didn't really hit many views. I wasn't really sure. I kept getting banned as well because a lot of my content's about like dating and sex. So I wasn't really sure like how do I talk about those things but without breaking any rules at the same time. So it was all very trial and error at first, but then it got to about around end of last year where things started to kind of pick up and I started getting some nice comments and nice followers. And I thought, okay, like people are enjoying what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep going with this sort of theme and yes, see what happens with it.
And do you think that's because just after a while you found your niche?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing about TikTok is like finding what your niche is. Like my niche is that I talk about dating and sex, but then I sort of pair it with classical music playing in the background. And it's like two things that don't really go together, but it almost works. And also that I'm quite softly spoken and you wouldn't maybe expect me to be speaking so like, I guess, filthy about things. And it's also quite relatable. Like, I mean, a lot of my content is quite relatable as well, and I think stuff like that really works because a lot of people want to, you know, watch things that are relatable, or they can sort of see themselves in it, or think, oh, I'm a bit like that, or oh, I did something like that the other day. I think things like that really work.
And sometimes with TikTok, you just need to give it time, because I can imagine if anyone on here opened a TikTok account, like the dancing on all the cringy stuff would be the first thing that came up, you know, and the trends and stuff. But it's just about finding it.
Yeah, I think it's just like finding that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think it's just about like finding that sweet spot where you're enjoying what you're doing, but also other people are starting to enjoy what you're doing, and it's like finding that point where you can kind of keep going with it. Like, you're not putting stuff out there that no one really enjoys, but people are actually enjoying it. And I think finding that mix is really important.
What advice would you give anybody who's completely new then?
I think if you're completely new to TikTok, I think don't be too precious about your ideas. When you put something out there, you know, I mean, I do it myself sometimes. I make a video and I think, oh my God, this is the funniest thing ever. Like, everyone's going to love it. It's going to go viral. And then I put it up and I get like no views, or it's just, I don't know, it kind of flops a little bit. But you shouldn't let that get to you. You should think, okay, I've put this up, I like it, okay, maybe that didn't land, okay, what can I do next? Like, I think, yeah, not being too precious about your ideas, and also just having fun with it as well. It is supposed to be like a fun platform, and I think if you put too much thought into it, sometimes it can almost be detrimental to you. So yeah, I think kind of having fun and playing around with different ideas, and then eventually you'll find something that sort of works, and you'll just keep rolling with it, basically.
Do you think that TikTok has helped your career?
It's actually massively helped me. I mean, a lot of people have been reaching out to me with like brand deals and things like that, which is amazing. And, you know, it's sort of shaping the way I do things. And also, I mean, I was posting a lot of sketches like on Instagram anyway before getting into TikTok. So I already had quite a decent following on Instagram. TikTok sort of came after, but I feel like now I've got the two, I can sort of switch between each platform. And it's also quite nice as well, I think, having like a portfolio almost of your work. So if you were to send it out to, I don't know, comedy agents or to anyone in the industry, they can see like a nice little, I guess, portfolio of funny little videos that you've made. And I think it's just a nice add-on. Like, if you're doing stand-up, it's just, I think it's just a nice add-on to have, and to show that you're sort of keeping up with the times and moving in a different direction as well.
That's interesting. That's a nice way to think of it, as having a portfolio, a place of all your comedy. It's so interesting. And whenever we were talking about, you know, finding your niche on TikTok, do you think like that niche now has like filtered into your stand-up, or do you think, you know, you kind of had it before in your stand-up but now it's more focused? You know, how has it helped that?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of had the niche kind of before. I mean, a lot of my stand-up is about dating and sex and things like that. It was just, how do I sort of now like filter that into like a digital space? How do I sort of take something that I do in stand-up but make it like digitally relatable? So I think it's sort of, yeah, making that switch. But I think the niche was kind of already sort of there. It's just playing around with the idea and figuring out what works. It's like what's his name, the guy Francis, is it Bourgeois? I don't know how you say his name.
The train guy.
Yeah, the train guy, the guy who does stuff about trains. Like, it's such a boring thing, train spotting. It's not very exciting, but he's made it so funny. And just the way that he's done the camera angles, and like the shoddy like shoddy camera work that he does. Like, if all of a sudden he suddenly bought a ring light and bought loads of expensive filming equipment, maybe it wouldn't be as funny anymore. But he's like
totally unique.
Yeah, he's made it unique. So it's like, it's kind of finding that thing. Like, if you have a weird hobby and you want to talk about it, like, there'll be someone on TikTok who will be able to relate to it somewhere. Someone on there will find it funny, most likely.
Do you think that you need, or do you have the creative skills to create TikTok?
Definitely. I think with TikTok, I mean, like, it is, it is quite hard to get your way around it at first. I think when you open up the app and you're like, oh, how do I green screen something? What do I do? But there's so many like helpful videos online that can help you with that. And also I find from just watching other people's videos anyway, just from like scrolling through, I think, oh, I like how she's done that. How did she do that? And then you just sort of figure it out for yourself, really. And like with captions, and like things to hashtag, it's like with the TikTok page, if you want your video to, you know, hopefully hit a certain amount of views on the TikTok homepage, you can see all the hashtags that are trending at the moment. So you can see what things are being hashtagged. So you can put, if it makes sense, put those hashtags into your caption for your video. So when people are searching a certain hashtag, your video will come up. So that's quite a good way of, you know, hopefully getting your video to trend and people to look at it. There's certain, I mean, like there was a hashtag on the weekend of Six Nations. The Six Nations rugby was like a trending hashtag. Even if your video has nothing to do with the Six Nations, I sometimes still put that hashtag in my video. So then if someone was to search Six Nations, my video would come up and someone might click on it out of curiosity, even though it has nothing to do with it. Someone might still click on it and look at it. So it's kind of being, I guess, like strategic.
Someone has said, I'm part of a sketch comedy group on TikTok.
Oh, cool.
Some of your videos have 200k and some have 24. Do you have any idea what makes one video take off over another?
So I find sometimes when I do the kind of voiceover videos where you find a trending voiceover and you do like a dub over it with your voice, I sometimes find they won't do as well as when I'm speaking and talking about something, just because a lot of people might have already used that sound and might have thought of like a funnier caption. So it, in a sense, it's like it's almost been done already. So that might not hit as many views as something that's completely unique and never been done before. It's like I did this video about thirst trapping on LinkedIn, about how to get a date but using LinkedIn, which are two things that don't really go together. But it hadn't been done yet. It hadn't been done on TikTok yet. So I almost had that niche, and I think that's why it did so well, because it's something that no one's really seen yet. But I think the voiceover ones, sometimes it can get a bit overused, and you get certain voiceovers that people use like over and over again. So yeah.
and sometimes, you know, you can find that with trends could last for 2 days, but could have millions of views and participations. And so it's just, you have to just keep on top and keep going, you know.
Yeah, and I guess it's just keeping up with the times as well. It's like, you know, the whole thing with Will Smith and the Oscars, that's been like such a topical thing. And it's like, okay, how can what can I make in comedy that links with that hasn't been done yet as such? So I guess a lot of it is, yeah, keeping up with the times and what's interesting. I mean, for me, because a lot of my stuff is about dating, a lot of people want to hear about embarrassing dates and things like that. It's just a relatable topic. So I've sort of stuck with that as my thing, but doesn't mean that, yeah, there's so many things you can sort of talk about on TikTok.
How important is quantity? Like, should we be posting 4 times a day at 8 a.m, noon, 4 p.m?
I usually do it every other day. So I'll post maybe on Monday, and then Tuesday I'll have a day off. Wednesday I'll post, and I kind of do it every other day. I don't think there's a certain amount. I mean, for me, I've been finding a lot of my videos have been doing very well in the evenings. And I think because a lot of my content is, I guess, a bit like sexually explicit and like about dating. So maybe people would want to view it more in the evening when they're, you know, relaxing or whatever. Like if you were to see that maybe at 10 a.m. on your way to work, maybe you'd think, oh, that's a bit, you know, I don't know if I want to really hear about something like that. So I guess it's just being clever about when you post. Like I've got a friend, she does videos of her eating. She does these eating videos about takeaways and her favorite takeaways and rating them, and that to me is a very like American kind of thing, and I feel like that would do well with like an American audience. So I was saying to her, oh, why don't you try and post at times when American, you know, in American times, because that might actually land better. And she's found from doing that her views have been going up because it's something that they I guess would relate to a little bit more. Like that sort of thing is a very American humor. So I guess
Absolutely.
it's being clever about like what time you post. Yeah.
Should your content on Instagram and TikTok be different? Are they different markets?
Instagram in general, I think it is quite vain and very like, oh, look at all my amazing achievements and what I've done. It can be quite a vanity sort of platform. Like I know if I was to post I don't know, a pretty selfie on Instagram, I know that would do a lot better than a comedy video, just because Instagram is a bit like that. But sometimes what I will do is if I've had a video that's done really well on TikTok, I will sometimes post it onto my Instagram and kind of see like which does better. So yeah, I think you can post the same content, but I mean, not, don't transfer all your videos from TikTok onto Instagram. Be selective about which ones you're going to put on there.
How do you find out which dances and sounds are trending? The Discover page doesn't seem to show these.
So on my homepage, there'll be a homepage on TikTok, and it will say something like, I think one of them at the moment is #GameTalk, which is like all about gaming and something, and you can just see different ones, and it's on the homepage. I don't know how to explain it, but basically when you open the app, there'll be a homepage and you'll be able to see like the different videos that are trending at the moment, like hashtags. But also another way as well is if you see a video on TikTok and you've seen it's had over, I don't know, 200,000 views, you can just look at what hashtags that person has put in. Like a lot of them put for your page. That's quite a big one that people use. Or FYP is another one that people use a lot. And you can just go based on that. I sometimes will do that where I'll look at someone's video and seeing that they've put these hashtags. So I'll just copy those hashtags and put it in mine and see if it does the same. Sometimes it won't get as many views, but it can help.
And unfortunately, sometimes these things, you just have to be on TikTok so much that you just kind of know by just video after video what is trending. Yeah,
definitely. It's a lot of like scrolling and figuring out what works. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting world being in, but it can be very like rewarding at the same time. And I think as long as you're having fun with it and not taking it too to heart. Like I know when I started TikTok, I was getting a bit disheartened that I wasn't hitting many views, and I wasn't getting as many likes as like a teenager. I'd be like, God, a teenager's doing better than me in life. What the hell? But sometimes it's luck at the end of the day, and it will build eventually. Just kind of keep going with it. But yeah, have fun with it, definitely.
Is there a perfect length for a TikTok? Should we be aiming for 30 seconds or 6 seconds, or does it matter?
My video that's hit the most views was 2 minutes, which is quite in TikTok world is actually quite long. Yeah, so I don't really think there is a certain amount of timing wise what can do well. I think as long as like if you are putting a video up that's 2 minutes, just make sure it's really engaging and doesn't drag too much. I think sometimes we all naturally do this when we're telling a story. It can drag a little bit and it's not getting to the point quick enough. So I think as long as you're getting to it within that time frame and it not dragging, then I don't think timing really matters.
Do you edit your videos within TikTok or use a different program? It seems to be that TikTok prefers it if you use so much of their infrastructure as possible. But on the other hand, if you edit your video first, then you can use it on different platforms.
Interesting, right? So when I first started TikTok, I used to edit within a different platform and then I would put it into TikTok and do it like that. But now I've got used to using the platform and how the editing works with it. I edit within TikTok. But when I first started out, I wasn't really sure, and I didn't want to basically didn't want to embarrass myself and be like, oh God, my editing skills are so awful. So I used to edit within an app, but now I've got used to using the platform. I edit in TikTok and it seems to work for me.
How long did it take you to build your Instagram following?
So with Instagram, I got quite lucky in the sense with my Instagram. So I was building it quite a bit anyway, like posting sketches and pictures and things like that. And then I ended up working with a comedy group who have a massive YouTube channel. They have millions and millions of subscribers. They asked me to do a video with them, which hit over 20 million views. And luckily I built a huge following off the back of that. And that was purely luck at the end of the day. So I think if you're doing it organically, in the sense that you don't get given an opportunity, then it might take a bit longer. But I think that's one of the things that, you know, is quite clever to do, is to try and collaborate with people who do have big followings. If you have a friend who has, I don't know, 20,000 followers on Instagram, you know, say to them like, oh, I'd love to do like a sketch with you, would you mind? And like, you will build followers off the back of that. So sometimes it's just being clever about the people that you work with, because it will help you out, like in the long run, definitely.
TikTok has a lot of stickers, filters, and effects. Should we be using them? Does it help with trending videos to get the extra views?
I try and keep my videos actually as natural as possible, because I don't, I think sometimes filters and things like that almost take away maybe from the comedy. So I keep my videos actually very natural when I'm filming them, but I will always put a caption over the front of the video. So if it's like dating story, I'll put dating story, or I don't know, Hinge disaster, I'll put that as like the caption for the video. But how I'm filming, I won't really play around with filters and things like that too much, just because I don't know, it's personal preference, I think, at the end of the day. But I think a lot of people kind of want to, I guess, see you like in your natural state. Like I know people who will literally wake up, have just woken up out of bed, and they'll do a TikTok like walking around with their cup of tea talking about their morning. And I think a lot of people can relate to that sort of thing, instead of it being too like too filtered and too like done. I guess I think when it's a bit more natural and free, I think sometimes those things maybe will do better.
And I think it's a very vulnerable thing, because people follow you because they're interested in you, you know, and it just, you have to be as raw as possible sometimes, and just trust that people enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I sometimes put up dating stories and I think to myself, oh, is this even that funny? But oh, I think it's funny, so I just post it and sort of hope for the best. And then when I do get comments and people saying, oh my god, that's so funny, that happened to me, like it's like, oh, this is like a nice feeling, like, and it's quite a good way as well of like creating conversations, I think, about things as well. Like you get a lot of different opinions about things, and I think it's quite a nice way of like creating your own little community.
Do you edit your videos twice, one for Instagram and once for TikTok?
No, so what I usually do with TikTok, I'll post the video on TikTok, and then it automatically saves anyway to my phone, and then I'll put the video into Reels on Instagram, and I'll post the video on Reels on Instagram, just because I found using Instagram Reels, the views are just so much higher than a normal video. They'll just do so much better. They have to be a minute, I know, for Instagram, so the video has to be a minute, but I find they do so much better like when you share it on your story. I think because as well on Instagram everyone's sort of like in a rush and they just want to get a quick laugh or a quick, like, I don't know, like little segment of your life. So I find Reels in general does a lot better on Instagram than a standard video.
I suppose Instagram's trying to catch up with TikTok, aren't they, because it's just the way everything's going.
Well, I feel like all the platforms are all trying to be like each other, really. Like they're all trying to be the same, based like how they do their content. But I know TikTok is just such a, I don't know, it feels a lot more like the way forward. I feel like Instagram, I don't know, I feel like it's not keeping up with the times as much as maybe TikTok. I think it is doing a lot better. So, but I think it's important. I think it's important to be vocal on both, really. Like, you know, it's finding that balance where you're not using your phone like all the time and every day, but yeah, finding that balance where you're enjoying it and you're making good content.
Do you plan and schedule your content for the week or month ahead?
Yeah, I do actually schedule my content. So what I do with my TikTok, I'll dedicate maybe one day a week, whether that be a Saturday when I've got a day off, or I don't know, a Sunday, and I'll film a couple of TikToks and I will just put them all in my drafts. So I've got them there as like a backlog. So when I've got a busy week with work where I know I'm not going to be on my phone as much, I can just go into my backlog of drafts on TikTok and be like, oh right, let's put that up today, let's put that up. So I've got a constant kind of feed of content. I think that's the best way to do it, because otherwise you get to a point where you're like, oh, I've not filmed anything, I've got like nothing to post, and then you sort of stress yourself out over it. So I think if you're like, manage your time correctly, and if you do have a day off and you see, I don't know, it's hard because sometimes you don't get flooded with ideas. Like, it depends like where you are creatively, but if you get those days where you're like, oh, that's a great idea, oh, this is a great idea, you know, just get on there and film it. Like, don't be too like planned about it. Just get on, film it, put it in your drafts, and then you can look back on it and be like, oh, that was really funny what I filmed, or oh, actually I don't really like that anymore. So I think that's quite a good way of doing it.
Do you have any TikTok regrets or things you would do differently now looking back on like your beginning?
I think my main regret, was judging too quickly, I guess, like about the platform. And also I sort of built up, not so much like jealousy, but I guess like, I don't know, I'd be seeing all these people who are not comedians, are not actors, haven't really had any sort of like training or anything, doing so well on TikTok, probably making like shitloads of money. And I sort of built up a bit of like, oh God, I've spent all this time like trying to be an actor and doing comedy, and I'm not doing that, like I'm not making any money. And I think it's kind of, I guess it's toxic really for you at the end of the day, because these people don't care. They're the ones like, you know, doing well and making money. So it's like, well, instead of being so toxic about it, why not actually just join them and like start making your own sort of way? So I guess that was my own regret, is that I sort of built up this like, oh, like, why am I not doing as well as these people? And now it's weird because I've actually found a love for TikTok and I'm doing quite well with it. So it's weird how kind of, things change.
How can you make money from it?
So you can apply for a creator fund on TikTok. You have to basically hit over 10,000 followers. So I've only just got onto the creator fund from hitting 10,000 followers. But yeah, once you hit a certain amount of following and a certain amount of likes on your videos, you can apply for a creator fund where TikTok will give you a certain amount of money back on your videos. And it also, I guess it kind of feels like it's worth it then, because, you know, you're making videos, you're having fun with it, and you're making a bit of money from it, which is great. Like that's all we kind of want really at the end of the day, because I think content creation can be like so exhausting and putting a lot of your free time into making videos. And you do sometimes sit there and think, God, I'd love a bit of money back for it. So I think that's a really good thing that they do. I mean, Instagram doesn't do that. So it's definitely worth keep going with the TikTok to be able to make some money back.
People make a lot of money from that. And they also get like noticed. Sometimes it's just as simple as seeing someone do something, thinking that's great, I want to have them on my team, sort of thing. You know, that's also, it's just opportunities as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And like I was kind of saying before, it's like a nice little portfolio for your work. So a lot of the time when I'm speaking to people in the comedy industry, I'll send them a link to my TikTok and be like, this is what I've been, you know, up to at the moment. And they sometimes think it's really funny and want to work with me based on the back of that, rather than based on me at a stand-up gig. So it's it is interesting, definitely.
What has been your favorite video you've done?
Probably the one I was actually talking about earlier, so thirst trapping on LinkedIn. That's been my favorite, just because that was an interesting one. I filmed that ages ago, like quite early into 2021, and I had it in my drafts in TikTok for ages. I was like, I don't even think it's that funny. I'm not sure. And I left it for ages, just sitting on it thinking, should I post it? Should I not? And then one day I was like, you know what? I actually think this is quite a cool idea. I'm going to post it. And then it just went absolutely viral and had loads of comments. And I was just like, oh, wow, I didn't even expect that to do that well. And I think it's because I've been finding like the things that work is like pairing something with something else that don't go together, but they work, if that makes sense. Like pairing two things that are such opposites, but then putting them together, it's almost like finding that, like that sweet spot. So yeah, I think I was really happy with that and really happy with how it went. So yeah.
How many videos are in your drafts?
About 50. Yeah. It's quite a lot in there, but then I know, like, out of those 50 videos, I'm probably not going to use all of them. Like, I've kind of kept it as a backlog, and I'll sit, when I get time, I'll sit on my phone and look through them and think, okay, right, that's really funny, I'm going to post that I've gone off the idea, not going to use that. And I kind of do my Instagram like that as well. So I'll have drafts in my Instagram of photos and videos, and I'll kind of look through and think, right, is this, and yeah, it's nice to have options at the end of the day, rather than, oh, I've got, nothing to put up.
And it's like anything, that when it's creative, sometimes you just need time, because in that moment you'll think it's either the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world, and give it 2 weeks and you'll have an entirely different opinion on it. So it's great that you have so much to pick from.
It's interesting because I sometimes sit there and I think, like, because my TikTok has been starting to do well, I almost put pressure on myself to be like, right, I need to keep this up. Like, people are enjoying what I'm doing. I need to keep thinking of ideas. And it's hard because sometimes you just don't have any ideas. You just don't. You have those like creative blocks where you're like, oh, what do I even talk about? But then it's a weird one with TikTok, because sometimes you'll just scroll through other videos of what other people have done and be like, oh, that's giving me an idea. Oh, I could do that, but like differently, or oh, that's funny. So you do actually like kind of subconsciously start thinking of things when you're not, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one.
How do you deal with trolls?
I think with trolling, like, a lot of these people who are trolling you have just nothing better to do with their lives. I mean, I've seen on TikTok a lot of people that do troll me have purposely made a fake account just to troll people, and you think to yourself, like, what? That's so like sad. Like, why? And I think it's just, not everyone's going to enjoy your work at the end of the day. Like, not everyone's going to think you're funny. Some people are just not going to understand it. Like, a lot of my humor is very like satire, and it's quite funny because a lot of people think I'm genuinely being serious about it. So I do get a lot of backlash from that, being like, are you actually being serious? Why would you say something like that? But that's their problem. It's not my problem. And just know that a lot of people will enjoy your content. So I guess that's how I get over it. And also just take the piss out of it as well. Sometimes I'll, like, if I get a really bad troll, I'll screenshot the comment and then I'll put it on my Instagram story and be like, and talk about it with everyone and be like, look at this ridiculous comment I received today. Like, make fun out of it rather than take it too seriously.
And so for anybody, like, let's say on this chat, who wanted to jump on like the TikTok top trumps challenge that we have running at the minute, what advice would you give to them to like get started on that?
I think, like, if you're quite new to TikTok, obviously when you see a challenge and like editing and things like that, it can be a bit overwhelming and you're like, oh god, this is going to take up so much of my time, what's the point? But it is actually quite easy to do once you get into it. So I would say, well, for my top trumps video, I put the image, the template, I put it into InShot, which is an app that you can edit on and just put on your text. It's pretty easy to use. If not, like you said, put it into your Instagram story and then just write the text over, and then you save it as an image, put it into TikTok. There's an option to green screen, and then just start talking about it, having fun with it, kind of taking the piss out of yourself, or I don't know, taking the mick out of someone in the media. It doesn't necessarily have to be a top trumps card on you if you don't want to speak about yourself. And yeah, I think just improvising with it. I think also as well, not being too like, this has to be the most perfect thing in the world. Like, a lot of the time the humor comes in when it is just very free and very improvised. And like I said, like with the drafts thing, you can save it as a draft in your TikTok and then come back to it and think, oh, actually I've thought of a better thing I'm going to say, and then you can just refilm it and change it. So even if you just save it as a draft and you have it there, like, I think that's a good sort of step in the right direction.
And just give yourself a bit more time to convince yourself that it is funny and it is good, and you just have to trust yourself.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok, it is sort of like, you are opening yourself up for criticism at the end of the day. Like sometimes people will, I mean, I've had it on my videos, people will say like nasty things or like stuff like that, but I don't know, it's you are opening yourself up at the end of the day. But in general, it is quite a fun, nice platform, and someone will find you funny on that, like whatever you're talking about. Like I feel like how it's developing is that there is room for everyone, rather than there's only room for a certain type of comedy. Like there's room for a lot. So yeah.
Well, yes, I think this has been such a good chat. And if anybody has any feedback, or they want more on this, or I'm sure you have a show coming up, talk about that.
Oh yes, I do. So I have a show, it's called The Whoring 20s. It's with another cat. So we're Cat and Cat, we're a duo, and we're going to be on at Leicester Square Theatre in June. So feel free to come along. We're actually going, like, in the show, there's loads of tips on social media and dating apps and things like that. So it might be very informative, but obviously in a very comical sense. So yeah, please come along.
Absolutely, and we'll all have to follow you, and you've been so good, and you're obviously just very good at what you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's also getting over that fear as well. I definitely was never as confident as I am now, like on social media. I did sort of have that weird fear about it at first. I was like, oh, this is so exposing, but I have just managed to sort of, I guess, get over that fear, and it's benefited because I'm putting stuff up and I guess not caring too much about what people think about it, as long as I'm enjoying it and I'm having fun. I mean, that's the main thing.
Well, yes, I think you've probably said absolutely everything you can now, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you were as inspired as I was by Katerina. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to The Comedy Crowd and let us know what more you want to see. And if you want to keep up to date with more news and opportunities for you, the comedy creator, then sign up to our weekly newsletter in the link below. See you at the next event, and keep creating comedy.